Hello, good day, and welcome back to Northworthy Sagas and Stories. I'm your host, Draugr, and I am here with
Egil, of course.
Now today we have something very special to celebrate, and that is us achieving 400 subs. So we'd like to say thank you, don't we, Egil?
Thank you very, very much. We most appreciate it.
Oh yes, thank you for subscribing to the channel, and if you subscribed since we reached 400, thank you to you too. Now, some time ago, we were sitting around the hearth and the fire in the longhouse, and we was talking about folk tales, weren't we, Egil?
Well, yeah.
With Tirk here, and we was talking about folk tales, and we decided to challenge each other on who could create and make up the best folk tale. Now, some time ago, last year, I recorded and made up a folk tale called Gunnar the Giant and the Draugr of the Barrow. And I told this story, but I never published it, simply because I made it up. But to celebrate the fact we've got 400 subs, I'm going to publish it now. So if you enjoy this story, which I made up, please give it a like. What do you think about that, Egil?
Well, I would be interested to hear that. I think that's a great
idea.
idea.
I'd be interested to see your version of a tale. You come up with one. Oh yes. So, thank you. For tale and good health.
And for him.
Oh yes.
It's a singing axe, that is.
Yeah. That sings. Ah, you're back again. Oh, it's great to see you here at Northworthy Sagas and Stories. I'm your host for today, Draugr, son of Magnus, and today I'd like to tell you a Scandinavian folk tale of a man named Gunnar, a giant, and the Draugr of the Barrow. Now, once upon a time there was a man. His name was Gunnar, and he was away from his family for quite a few years. He was a blacksmith, and he went farm to farm in the north of Sweden, making knives, pattern rolled swords, hinges, and all manner of objects you could possibly make with iron. And he's been doing this for a good while, until he made a lot of silver, and he wanted to go south to see his family, for it's been some years since he's seen his parents and his sisters and his brothers. So he did this. He got a horse and he started to travel south. Now, it was getting late in the year, it was getting towards winter, and he came to the most giant forest wood you've ever seen, and he started to go through this wood. And one night when he was asleep, somebody stole his horse, and he had to carry on foot. Well, he's been walking for another day, and it started to snow, and he was worried he needed to find some shelter. And in the distance he saw a big cliff, and in the cliff was this giant cave. Well, he thought if he goes to this cave and gets some firewood, he'll have shelter. So he did this. He got some wood, and he started to go to the cave. But this was no ordinary cave, for this cave was a home of a giant. And by the moonlight, he could see in the back of the cave was the giant itself. But things did not look right, for the giant was soundly asleep. And on top of the giant's chest was this large flat stone, and on top of that stone was a gold ring. Now, Gunnar, he knew that this was no ordinary ring. He's heard of magical rings and magical items, and he immediately thought that this was a magical item. So he went in his pouch and he got out a bit of leather and he picked up the ring because he did not want to touch it with his bare hand. And suddenly the giant awoke. He said, "Well, thank you, I've been asleep for many years under a curse because of that magical ring, and you have saved me." "I'm hungry," said the giant. "I'm going to go and get some mutton, and we will feast and drink mead tonight with me." So the giant did this. He went out, and an hour later he came back with a sheep under each arm, and Gunnar and the giant, well, they had a mighty feast that night. And the next day came, and Gunnar had to carry on his journey. And the giant, being very generous, wanted to give him a present or two. So first of all he gave him a tunic, which was no ordinary tunic, it was an under tunic, like this one here. And it was a magical under tunic. And he also gave him a magical sword. But of course Gunnar didn't really think that the tunic would be magical, nor would the sword. So he accepted these kindly and went on his way. And some time came past, a few days and about a week, until eventually he came to the lowlands, and he came to his family's farmstead. And they had a mighty feast because they've not seen him for years. And after a few days, well, things didn't quite seem right. There was a strange feeling around, so he grabbed his sister and he said, "What's been going on? There's something not right here." And she admitted that, but they've been having problems with the walking dead, the Draugr, from the barrow. Well, to this, Gunnar was not happy, for he knows the strength of the Draugr and how powerful and deadly they can be. So he put a shout out in the local area for any brave men to come forward, and many men did, for there was not the only farmstead having problems with the Draugr. So he gathered a few men, and in the afternoon they went off to go to these barrows to finally put an end to the Draugr. And they had many weapons. They had pitchforks, they had knives and scrams, they had axes. But unknown to them, iron had no effect on the Draugr. It would not kill them. So the men and Gunnar, they marched and they walked for about half an afternoon, half a day, until eventually they came to the barrows. And it was night time. And night time is the time of the night when the walking dead, the Draugr, come out and dig themselves out of the graves and carry their coffins on their back. And suddenly one Draugr came out of nowhere and tried to stick Gunnar with a sword, but amazingly it just bounced off and dropped out. For his magical tunic, his under tunic, saved him. And he got his sword, and he swung the sword, and suddenly the Draugr caught fire, and he realised then that this was no ordinary sword. This was a sword that could kill the living dead. And they did this. All the men fought, and eventually Gunnar had killed them all. And no more did the farmers of this place, no more did Gunnar's family have any problems with the walking dead, the Draugr. And they all lived happily ever after. And that is the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a big like, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We produce weekly content on Scandinavian sagas and folk tales. Was hail, good health to all those that watch.